Welcome to Phillies Fan Central, where passion meets the diamond and every fan's voice counts.
What is going on, Philadelphia? Welcome back to Phillies Fan Central, the pulse of the fightin' Phils, and the only place where we break down every pitch, every trade, and every signature with the passion this city deserves. I'm your host, and we have a massive update today regarding the pitching staff that you are going to want to hear. But before we get into the numbers and the analysis, I need you to do me a huge favor. If you bleed red and white, make sure you hit that subscribe button right now. Smash the thumbs up if you want another Red October, and ring that notification bell so you never miss a breaking story. And as always, I want to hear your voice. Drop a comment below right now. Do you trust the front office's strategy this winter? Let's get the conversation started. Now, let's get down to business. It has been a whirlwind of an off-season for our Philadelphia Phillies. We have seen some massive checks being written, haven't we? The conversation lately has been dominated by the massive $155 million extension for Kyle Schwarber. Look, we all love Schwarbombs, but that is a lot of capital tied up in the designated hitter spot, and it sparked a lot of debate in the Delaware Valley. Then we saw the front office take a flyer on Adolis Garcia for $10 million, a move that, let's be honest, met with some skepticism regarding his consistency and on-base percentage. But while everyone was arguing about the bats, President of Baseball Operations Dave Dombrowski made a move that slipped under the radar for the casual fan, but is absolutely lighting up the analytical community. I am talking about the signing of right-hander Brad Keller to a 2-year deal worth $22 million. Now, at first glance, you might see that name and think about his time as a struggling starter for the Kansas City Royals. You might wonder, is this really the guy we need? But if you look at the praise coming from the national media today, specifically from the experts at ESPN, the narrative changes completely. ESPN's senior writer David Schoenfield just released his grades for the offseason moves, and he gave the Phillies a rock-solid A- for this acquisition. That is high praise for a deal that didn't break the internet, and here is exactly why. Schoenfield argues, and I completely agree with him, that this could end up being the single best surprise signing of the entire Major League Baseball preseason. We aren't signing the Brad Keller of 2021. We are signing the reinvented 2025 version of Brad Keller, who transformed himself into one of the most dominant right-handed relievers in the game last year. Let's look at the hard data because the numbers do not lie. Last season, Keller posted a sparkling 2.07 ERA. That is elite, but it gets better. Opposing batters hit a microscopic .171 against him. He wasn't just getting lucky, he was overpowering guys. We saw a significant tick-up in his velocity. His fastball has added a few miles per hour, sitting deeper in the zone with more life, and his breaking stuff has become sharper. This is a pitcher who figured it out. He realized his stuff plays better in maximum effort, short bursts rather than trying to pace himself for 6 innings. By transitioning to the bullpen, he unlocked a ceiling that many of us didn't know he had. ESPN notes that while some teams were sniffing around Keller as a back-end starter, the Phillies identified him as a high-leverage weapon. This is the kind of scouting and analytical deep dive that wins championships. We aren't just paying for a name, we are paying for performance that is trending upward. When you combine his heavy sinker with that newfound velocity, you have a guy who keeps the ball in the yard, something that is absolutely critical when you are pitching in the intense, hitter-friendly environment of Citizens Bank Park. Let's shift gears and talk about how Brad Keller actually fits into this roster, because this is where the strategy gets really interesting. This isn't just about adding another arm, it is about roster construction and insurance. We know the situation with our ace, Zach Wheeler. With Wheeler working his way back from injury, there is a question mark at the top of the rotation for the first month of the season. This is where Keller's versatility becomes worth every single penny of that $11 million annual average value. The Phillies likely view Keller primarily as a setup man, a bridge to our closer, Juan Duran. Imagine a 7th and 8th inning locked down by guys throwing heat, shortening the game for the opposition. However, because Keller has that history as a starter in Kansas City, he offers something most relievers don't: bulk capability. If Wheeler needs more time, or if we have a doubleheader, or if a starter gets chased in the second inning, Keller can step in and give you 4 or 5 quality innings. Schoenfield at ESPN made a brilliant comparison in his article. He noted that if Keller can replicate what Clay Holmes did for the Mets, posting a 3.53 ERA and a 1.9 WAR, then paying $22 million over 2 years is an absolute steal. It is a bargain. In this market, reliable, high leverage outs cost a fortune. If Keller performs even at 80% of his 2025 metrics, the Phillies have committed highway robbery. There is also a rumor circulating, which adds another layer to this signing, that the Phillies are preparing to replace Ranger Suarez with a right-hander from within or through a minor trade. Having Keller stabilizes the right side of the pitching staff immediately. It gives the manager, Rob Thompson, options, and we know that in the postseason, options are everything. Think back to our recent playoff runs. The teams that go deep, the teams that win the Commissioner's Trophy, are the teams that have swingmen who can adapt to any role. Keller is that guy. He is the ultimate Swiss Army knife for this pitching staff. Schoenfield writes, as a plan B, the Phillies have a reliever for high-pressure situations. I look at it as a plan A. You cannot have enough pitching depth in the National League East. The Braves are reloading. The Mets are spending. The Phillies had to answer, but they had to answer smartly. They didn't need another $300 million contract. They needed surgical precision to fix a hole in the middle innings. This move screams professionalism. It tells me that the front office is looking at the margins, finding value where others see risk. If Keller is simply the setup man for Juan Duran in 2026 and 2027, and he repeats that sub 2.20 ERA performance, nobody will remember the price tag. They will only remember him striking out the side in a tight game in September. This is about building a bullpen that is lights out. From the 6th inning onwards, it brings a level of comfort to the starters, knowing they don't have to go 8 innings every night. It preserves the bullpen for the long haul of a 162-game season. To wrap this up, while the headlines were dominated by Schwarber and Garcia, Brad Keller is the move that might actually have the biggest impact on our win-loss record. A grade of A- from ESPN is justified, but if he helps us secure the division, that grade turns into an A+ in my book. The Fightin' Phils are not just collecting talent, they are building a machine designed to win in October. Do you see Brad Keller as the missing piece for our bullpen, or are you worried that his success in 2025 was a one-year wonder? Do you trust him in the 8th inning of a playoff game against Atlanta or New York? I want to read your honest takes in the comments section below. If you enjoyed this deep dive and want more exclusive Phillies coverage that cuts through the noise, please subscribe to Phillies Fan Central. Hit that like button to support the channel and turn on notifications so you're the first to know when the next domino falls. This channel is made by fans, for fans. We are in this together. Until next time, keep the faith, stay passionate, and let's get ready for another incredible season. Go Phils, ring the bell, and let's bring that Red October energy all year long.